So if we're talking about lessons that need to be revamped for the 21st century, the Lewis and Clark genre of lessons that I received as a kid all fit into that category. The one that stands out most to me is one where we did a journaling project, where we pretended we were members of the Corps of Discovery making our way west, and we were right with Lewis and Clark in the thick of the action, and we were telling our version of the story, the same story that we had been learning about for 2 weeks prior. This was a great lesson. I mean, I think I had it a couple times. Early on, it was more of an arts and crafts project. We'd make these intricate journals, and later on, it became more of a writing project to synthesize information we'd learned in a history class. And while this is a good lesson at heart, there's definitely some good elements to it. I think it can benefit a little bit. But first, let's talk about this old plan. The students would research basically events that happened in the journey that Lewis and Clark took. They would create journal entries, and journals themselves often. And they would make 4 to 5 entries from this first-person perspective. It was inadequate because students were focused on the writing aspect of it. They were focused on being eloquent and focusing on sounding authentic or whatever, and that doesn't necessarily translate into good historical knowledge. And because they were only asked to write a few entries, they did not necessarily cover the entire length of the Lewis and Clark trip. They didn't prove that they had knowledge of the entire trip, just only certain aspects of it. So I think it is worth doing a new lesson plan, a modern lesson plan with Twitter. And the beauty of Twitter, although you maybe didn't realize there was an educational purpose for it, the beauty is its format. It's so brief, 140 characters. It forces every person to get to the point and to be succinct, and that is what fixes that entire journal problem right away. I would ask students to do is create a series of tweets, 12 to 15. They would put these tweets in chronological order and put them on a map after they're done. So they would demonstrate both a knowledge of the timeline of events, but also geographic location that is happening. They could use hashtags if they want to add meaning and clarity. And for example, here I'll show you the Twitter account that I created just to demonstrate this. At the top here we have me pretending I'm on the journey, noticing that one of the members of the Corps of Discovery had just shot a giant grizzly bear near Cutbank. And it took 10 bullets to bring him down. And my hashtag is "Don't mess with the grizzly." It's kind of a humorous take, but some of the other ones, like below, hashtag "starving," when you're climbing up Lolo Pass in the winter, is a very real day-to-day reality for the Corps of Discovery. So why is it better? Why is this better than the old version? There's a few reasons. Number one, I think, is that the number of tweets demonstrates knowledge of the entire journey, not just 2 or 3 key events. And it also doesn't rely so much on writing skills, which, although important, are not always the same as understanding the entire turn of events in a certain historical event. And it also uses the proven power of Twitter to be an effective tool in metacognition, which is essentially like the brain's ability to process things and to analyze and to remember things. So it's very good for reviewing. It's an excellent review tool. It's also easy to submit, and the digital version of this is amazing. If everyone had a Twitter account, it would be super easy to grade for everybody involved. But if there is a filtering restriction on your school's computers, there is a way to get around this, and that's why I have this Google Documents presentation. You can see that no Twitter is actually involved here. You can actually just print it out like a word processing document below and just type it out. And you can see that these little logos, these blue Twitter logos on the map above, can be placed in there in order, so the students can show you the geographic aspect of their tweets. They should also include like real dates for the tweets with the actual tweet below. The benefit of this is you get around the filtering, and you can also print it out. You have technological issues, you don't need to be even dealing with computers at all if you don't have to. So that's good. In general, I just think it's a vast improvement over the old model. I think it just demonstrates a better knowledge of the history content, which is, after all, the whole purpose of being in a history class.